come and start as an academic, you lecture to undergraduates, so you have to enthuse and encourage them, and many hours writing references for them and giving advice in terms of what they might do in their future careers. So yeah, it starts very early, but even started perhaps a little bit earlier than that when I was a PhD student myself. You know, one of the things we do in the School of Chemistry, we demonstrate laboratories, so I would have interacted with undergraduates even then. So I think that's all a formative thing, so it's really step by step. So you don't have to meet them in the laboratory, but that's a very, I would say, relaxed way to meet them. So you say things like, well, you might go on fire if you do this, so you know you can be reasonably good in terms of humour. I benefited as an undergraduate and a PhD student from fantastic mentorship as well. So I was lucky. I did my PhD with Professor Dervla Donnelly. She was a fantastic mentor, really had a very caring attitude to all of her students, and that really helped, but also set up many collaborations for her students and opportunities worldwide, and I've noted that as well for my own students. So I was lucky. I spent some time also in France, Dr. Jean-Pierre Finet, and I suppose learned a little bit of humour in science from him. And then the last year of my PhD, I went to Texas A&M and worked with Professor Sir Derek Barton. So he was a Nobel Prize winner at the time, so I certainly got the academic rigour and steel, I suppose, from him. So I put all those things together, and then I was fortunate I worked as a postdoc in the University of Oxford with John Brown. Again, fantastic person, really had a good attitude to looking after a group. So I learned different things from all of those. So when I came back to UCD, I plucked what I would say the best from all of those and used my own instinct then as well to provide good mentorship. When I have my own PhD students and trying to provide advice, first thing you know is they're all different. So you have to approach them differently, and in order to know how properly to approach them, you really have to understand them well. So I think that sort of caring is really important, I think, in dealing with the research group. More recently, and I would say I'm lucky if my 57th PhD is going to graduate on Wednesday, so it's only really, I'd say, in the last 20 or so PhD students that I've had in the group at that time that depression, I think, was something I learned a little bit about. It might have been there earlier, but I only picked up on the signs of it, I would say, more recently. And learning, I suppose, how to work with a student who's suffering from depression, and where it really comes to the fore is where you've got deadlines and there's a thesis to be written, and you can't push too hard because you know that there's another problem in the background. So you just work with them and try and navigate the right way towards getting to your final destination. So I found that difficult. I've not had any training in it, but I think all the experience I've had of dealing with people certainly helped me, and thankfully they've all got there in the end, so that always does help. I think from day one, you know, we sit down, we work together. They don't work for me, we work together. So they know that my door is always there. If I'm not there, I'll certainly answer the email. And when there's chapters to be read and reports to be gone through, they know they'll get it back in good time. So all of those things, I think, play a good role in a good working relationship. That's what you need within a sort of a high-level research group as well. Mentorship goes outside of just PhD students in an own research group. You know, I give advice to my colleagues, both in the school, but also outside school in terms of advice for promotion. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things. And then new colleagues coming in, trying to help them with advice, not to make the same mistakes that perhaps we all make at the start. So you're learning how to progress quickly, I suppose. Learn from your colleagues and think back on your own experiences, both as an undergraduate and as a PhD student, and even as a postdoc. And if you've been abroad, you know, try and see the best practice that's done out there. Choose what's right for you, work with it. That's the only advice I can give. But it's very beneficial, I suppose, in terms of the working environment, and it's really nice to be able to follow the careers of people that you've interacted with and gave advice to. And out of nowhere, you could be walking down Grafton Street and someone would approach you and say, oh, you asked me, you gave me advice to do this, just want to let you know where I am now. So, you know, all of that is really nice, and yeah, so what you give, you will get back, I suppose, is what I'm saying. You can't beat a cup of coffee and sitting down with someone. That's good.